Let us begin. Let us continue. So where were we? We were discussing that what happened before the BARC interview. So obviously I had a pretty good idea that I'm not going to make it through ISRO written test and I'm not going to make it through CIL written test. So basically after the gate examination, I had a 3 exam plan: CIL, ISRO and BARC. So I had in that mind, I at that time thought, even after failing in gate examination, I had it in my mind that I'm going to crack all the 3 examination, which obviously did not happen. And 4 months later, I'm still sitting over there with no job. But one examination was cracked, that was BARC. And just before the BARC interview was on 6th June, like I said. On 1st June, something very crazy happened. And it was again the second tussle with a landlord, the second landlord that saved my ass in the last time. But I'm not going to discuss that right now because I'm not in the mood. Maybe in some other vlog I'm going to discuss that. But right now, let us discuss the BARC interview. So on 5th of June, I took a flight from Delhi. No, it was not a flight. It was a train. Like I said, the first time I sat on a flight was after the BARC interview. So I went to the railway station, and I think probably it was 4th, right? So 4th June at night, I took the train and reached in Mumbai morning and got to Anushakti Nagar. So it was my first time being over there. It was not my first time being in Mumbai, but first time I'm being in Mumbai on my own. So they gave the location. It was Anushakti Nagar, and I had already entered the campus, and it was the campus of BARC. In the gate, they did some checking. They note down the number of the vehicle that is entering, and inside I got out, and someone was wearing a badge of BARC. So at that time, like, you think that maybe I'll be wearing this badge very soon as well. And I asked that person, "Hey, where is BARC?" And he said that you are standing on BARC. This is BARC. Where do you want to go? I said that I have an interview. So he said that immediately, okay, you have to go to NBH. And NBH basically stood for New Boys Hostel, most likely. Or it might also be New Bachelors Hostel. I'm forgetting. If someone is over here from Anushakti Nagar or BARC, let me know down in the comment section. So I went over there, and the route started going downwards. And the more down you go, the more down the signal goes, because this is probably the worst place in this planet to have a cell phone network. All the cell phone network goes out the moment you go over there close to NBH. I had to basically go outside the campus of BARC to make any phone call. It was that bad. Or there was one particular place near the lift in 8th floor where the network used to be sufficient for you to talk over a phone call. Internet, forget about it. All right. So the first thing I did is that I went to the reception, and the reception people asked for this invitation form or call for the interview. That was basically the mail that they had sent me. So I showed it to them, and they basically told us to go to this particular floor. My friend Sushant, who was also going to reach over there on the same day, actually his interview and my interview was on the same day, same time, because we sat together and booked the slot. In those days, you could book the slots of the interview. So we sat over there and like 1, 2, 3, click like that. We did it. It was both 8 a.m. in the morning, 6th of June. All right. So he was not there till that time. I do not know whether he was coming from flight or he was coming from train. Don't remember. Probably by flight if he's so late. So we could not meet because none of our cell phone networks were working, and he reached later onwards, and he was on flight maybe. I don't know. Don't remember actually. So I went somewhere. I do not remember. Maybe it was 8th floor. And I took the room, and there were 2 other people, and one person was from mechanical engineering and the second person was from physics. So we started talking, and then the first thing that happens now, so far 1 month preparation, I had good amount of confidence that I can crack this interview. I started talking to these people who have already been over here. Then I found out some person was over there who wasn't made easy, and he had just given his interview of BARC. And we thought that let's talk to him. Maybe he can give us an idea of how the interview is going on right now. and we were so demotivated, man, so demotivated. He basically said that, see, if you have read Sengel, thermodynamics, refrigeration and air conditioning and all those subjects from the books, then definitely you will be able to crack this interview. Otherwise, there's no chance you are not going to get selected like that. And that somehow shattered my confidence to a huge extent. And I went back to my room, and basically, you know what I did? I fell asleep. See, the room had 3 people but 2 beds. So this is the scenario over there. Most of the time when people go over there for interviews, most of the time this is what happens, that they are going to adjust more people in the same room, right? Because the load is increasing. I honestly don't think that they are having shortage of room. I think that they just want people to be accommodated in less number of rooms. That's how it goes. Okay, so 2 beds, 3 people, there was 1 mattress on the floor. So we basically did some head and tail or something like that, and figured out that, okay, the person who is having the interview next morning is going to sleep on bed definitely. Then one person said that, see, this is the only night I'm going to stay over here. You guys are going to stay next night as well. So let me sleep this night. Tomorrow night you are going to sleep on bed anyways, like that. And we adjusted. So I remember that at that time in the evening, somewhere around 4 p.m, 5th of June, one day before the whole thing, I had to sleep on floor, right? So I just fell asleep and demotivated. When I woke up, I thought that, man, is it really going to come down to this? Am I going to lose without even fighting? And then what I did is that simply I said that I'm not going to listen to anyone. I'm not going to go and have any talks with anyone. What I'm going to do is focus on whatever I prepared. And I brought this interview preparation notebook with me, and in that all the interview questions that I had gone through for the last 1 to 2 months, and I started going through it again. And I said that I don't care, man, there's infinite number of difficult questions that I cannot answer, but I know that this interview can be cracked like this, and I'm going to do it just like that. So I studied that for an hour or 2, and then I went out, and luckily I found Sushant roaming around in the corridor. Actually, some cricket match was going on, and there was only one television just beside the reception, and people were gathered over there. I met him, went out for some evening snack or something, and at night we had dinner, and then we went out for a walk. It was a different feeling. Like right now, I know that I've not only gotten into BARC, but even resigned from BARC. But the feeling at that time was like, man, if I get in, what would be the world on the other side? And I'll tell you, I could have never, ever imagined that the world would be the world that it had been. The 1 year, the 14 months that I was over there, never could have imagined. It was not even possible. So at that point, the whole thing was that I'm going to get into BSc, prepare for ISRO bump and get out. That's it, as simple as that. But the twisted journey it was of those 14 months, it is crazy. It is unexpected. And the next morning, woke up, got ready, white shirt, black pant, black shoes, black socks, and a watch, all formals, the CV in my hand, 8 o'clock in front of the interview place. And one by one, our schedule was fixed. We had to submit some written things, some documents, some pictures, some document verification process started. And then we had to reach 6th floor probably of that building where the interview always takes place. And over there we had to sit for hours and hours and hours. So there was this interview room, and there were 6 panels for mechanical engineering and 3 panels for physics. So all those panels were at the same floor. So at one floor there were physics and mechanical engineers, and the waiting room for the same. There was a single common waiting room. So we waited over there. Me with Sushant, we waited over there. And it is funny, there was a girl from physics background, and I'm like, yeah, should I talk to her because she's super beautiful? And I'm like, I don't have the courage to do that, man. And that regret was there till the end moment, that, man, how can I go into the interview hall with this regret that I want to do it, but I cannot do it because I don't have the guts. By the way, before the interview, I was kind of stupid to think about all those things, but that is how it was working on. So I tell you the truth as always, cannot hide you, and I cannot always tell you that I'm so motivated, I'm thinking about this day and night. Nah, this was the thing, man. And that is the thing about, I can only talk about boys. And no matter what phase of situation that you are, Like girls, top priority, always. At least I can say in your teen and the early 20s, that is going to be over there. So ultimately I did talk to her, like, what branch are you from, and when is your interview, those stupid questions. But at least I had this content that I did not shy away from talking to her. And then I went to the interview hall. In front of the interview hall, when my finally number came, it was 5 o'clock. It was 5 o'clock in the evening. So we basically waited for 7 to 8 hours before our interview actually started. And I was waiting outside the interview hall, and I still remember I was pretty calm and pretty confident that I'm going to make it. There was not much doubt in my head at that time, because I knew that I have this method, and this method, if nobody has ever told this method that this is going to work, I know that this is going to work because I prepared this very well. And I had this in my head that I know the kind of questions that they're going to ask. I know their mentality. I know that how I can deal with that, and I know that how I can get this job. So finally they called me. I went over there, somewhere close to 5 to 6 people over there, and 3 of them most notable one. So there was one chairman. So chairman will be at the center. There were 2 people, one at my left and one at my right, and they were like good cop, bad cop. So one at my right was super rude and was asking tough questions to me. One at my left was super calm and mellow. And there was one more person who was in between the chairman and the good cop, who was also asking like average questions, but had a smile on his face. And there was one more person between the bad cop and the chairman, and that person had no other job other than going through my records, my CVs, my certificates and all that. So yeah, now I am sure that there were only 5 people over there. So it was a sitting kind of position. It was an oval kind of table, people sitting around me, and I'm sitting on this side. I was obviously sitting like this because this is how you're supposed to sit in the interview. And then obviously they started with simple questions that, did you have breakfast? Where are you staying? And I said that I'm staying at Anushak, this NBH and all that. Simple questions, trying to break the ice. And then they started with the same old question: what are your favorite subjects? So I had prepared this because according to my philosophy of how to crack BARC interview, what I had figured out is that your favorite subject matters the most. So according to my philosophy, what I think that 4 to 5 favorite subjects that they ask, that really starts the game, and that really dictates a lot of your interview. So basically the top subject that you mentioned, they are going to start asking questions from that. Most of the time that is going to happen. And because of that, majority of the interview, as far as 50% of the interview, goes on in first subject only. So what I say is the first subject should be always strongest. This is what I figured out going through so many interviews. So I gave strength of material over there. So they started asking questions from strength of material. Then they started asking questions from fluid mechanics. Strength of material went very good actually. I was able to answer questions properly over there, was able to figure out few things and think about few things that even I did not know how it goes. So here's the thing about BARC interview. They really look for how much concept you have and how much you can think out of the box, how much you can push yourself beyond what you already have studied in the books and how much you have been taught by your teachers. So it is a different kind of environment. BARC interview is a lot like gentle people sitting over there, not trying to harass you. They're just trying to get you to calm down. Other than the bad cop who was sitting over there, other than them, they were like very chill, trying to help you, give you hints of you. They want you to come to the answer. If you need hints, they are going to give you hints, but still they want you to give the answer finally, whether you are able to get to the answer if you're directed towards the answer. That is what they want to find out. And these are the mental characteristics that I had already figured out, that hints are going to be very, very important. So there were a lot of points where I gave the wrong answer. There were a lot of points where I gave the right answers, but they said or brought some disbelief in my head, brought some confusion, just to check whether you really know the answer or you are so gullible that you can change your mind, right? So if you have good concept, they are not looking for rocket science level or nuclear science level technology knowledge. They're just looking for whatever you know, whatever you studied, the basics, the thermodynamics, the fluid mechanics. You should be having good knowledge in that and an in-depth knowledge in that, a good concept, a good stronghold in that, whether you have it or not. And that is how it goes. And BARC interview is unlike any other interview that you're going to see. It is going to be probably the longest interview that you have faced. My interview lasted for close to 1 hour to 1.5 hours. And that is another thing, that BARC interviews now, it really depends how long it lasts. Because if it is lasting only for 40 minutes, as long as 40 minutes, or sometimes it ends even in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, then you are not going to get selected. That is the general thumb rule. Yes, there are exceptions, but the longer they stay over there, it's like the more interested they are in taking you in, right? So I was called at 5 o'clock. From 5 o'clock to 5:30, close to that, I had to sit outside the interview room, because the prior person who was having the interview was going on. And around 5:30 I went in. So I checked the time, because I knew that time will fly, and theory of relativity is definitely going to be applied over here, and you are not going to figure out exactly how long the interview did last. But it is important for you to have the confidence whether you are going to get selected or not. And really, throughout the interview, I did not see the time. And just before the interview was going to end, I checked the clock, and it was 7 o'clock. And I knew that if the interview is going to last this long, then definitely you are in. And more importantly, they asked questions from fluid mechanics, they asked questions from strength of material, they asked few questions from heat transfer. The heat transfer, my question was, water enters at 0 degrees centigrade, gets out at 300 degrees centigrade, draw the temperature profile. Most people drew like straight or gradually increasing temperature profile. But what most people do not know is that water exits at 300 degrees centigrade. It is not going to be water at all. It is going to be steam, because the boiling point of water is 100 degrees centigrade, and they are going to take care of everything. They are going to mention properly that it is 1 atmospheric pressure. So these tiny things they are going to notice. And the first time I drew, I made the mistake as well. But I caught the hint very soon. They said that, see, the temperature over there is 300 degrees centigrade. And I knew what they are talking about, because I had gone through the previous interview questions, and this interview question had already appeared over there, right? So from their eyes, they thought that, kid caught the hint pretty fast, must be smart. And I'm like, I already know the question to a huge extent, but still, after knowing also, I had gone through it a long time ago. So if I knew it that well, I would not have made the mistake at all. So that was the heat transfer question. And then we went into heat transfer continued actually. They asked few data based questions from thermodynamics, like what is the critical point, temperature and pressure for this water and all that. And honestly, I did not know the answer. And truly, I knew that they do not really care about mug up questions. If you don't know the answer, just tell them that you don't know, and they're going to move forward. None of us are going to waste time. Then they asked a question that was the most important one. There was like a frustrum and a parallel path. So first they made it only a cylindrical body, and then they asked the temperature profile. They love the temperature profile, man. Not only in mechanical engineering, in any field of science, if they can get you to draw graphs, they're going to make you draw graphs. Because this is the thing about BARC interview. They want physical understanding, whether you understand the physical significance or not. Because if you can understand the science down to physical form, then you understand it best. And graphs are the best representation of easiest understanding of what is happening. So they are going to make you draw a lot of graphs. In the last vlog, I've already told that I have taken a lot of mock interviews for BARC as well. And in that, I also focus towards that only, that whether you understand things physically or not, or all of the information is just surface level, you understand. So that is what the scientists over there are going to be looking for. So they asked me to first make a graph of simple cylinder, and then they made the cylinder attached to a frustrum. You understand? So there will be one diameter and there will be a bigger diameter over here. And that is what they do. They give you a very simple question first, then they raise the level, then they make it more complicated, then they make it more complicated, seeing how far you are capable of going, right? And they increased it, and then they asked me the temperature profile, whether it is going to be concave or it is going to be convex. And you really don't know the answer. And at that time, I had never seen such question before. And all I could have done is look at the Fourier equation and find out whether it is going to be concave or convex. I looked at it properly and I gave the answer. I don't even remember. He made basically 3 diagrams. So he made one straight line, one concave, another one convex. He gave it 1, 2, 3. And I thought about it for a long time. They were trying to confuse me. It has already been 1.5 hours, and I know that this is the final answer. I cannot get out of this hall giving a wrong answer. They're no way going to select me, or at least the chances are going to be very low. I have to give the last answer correct. High amount of pressure. This question I have not seen before. My hands literally starts to shake, and the chairman finally takes the paper. They were staying on this question for a long time. Give the answer. And finally, chairman takes the paper, says 1, 2, 3, pick one and go. And I'm like, okay, I have to give the proper answer now. So I finally thought about it properly. Okay, area is decreasing. The slope must be increasing, like that. I thought about it and I picked one number, let us say 3. And they say, okay, thank you very much. And you can leave now, Ashish. And I got up, started to leave. I said, thank you, sir. And when I reached the door, they said, Ashish, please wait. You have to return the pencil. And I said, okay, yeah. So by the way, if you don't know, all the interview is going to go on these kind of A4 sheets, and they're going to provide a pencil. You cannot bring your own pencil. You cannot bring your own pen. You have to do the rough work with that pencil and that paper. Leave that pencil, leave that paper, get out, like that. I left that pencil, got out, and honestly, for the first 10 minutes, I was shitting my pants because I thought that I've given the wrong answer. Because this happens, the moment you get out, you thought, oh, no, I made that one mistake. The numerator should have been in denominator. There was a minus, and I'm like, hell, is this all I did, man? Did I really fuck it up? Finally, after all this, I really did mess it up. And I went throughout thinking the way, and I started walking randomly someplace. I reached, okay, I do not have to be over there. Then I finally found a way to get out of that building. It was already 7 o'clock. Most of the building was closing. It was dark. And somewhere when I got back to the room, the 2 roommates asked, how was the interview? So, then the second one said, how was the interview? And he said that my was also. So I sat down, and the one person who was from mechanical, he asked a question to me, like, what were the questions that was asked? I said, this question, and finally that frustrum question, I said that this was the question, and I explained this, and I started writing down. I'm like, oh, okay, finally. What I answered over there was actually correct. And then I cross-checked it, and then I explained it to that person, and he said, yeah, this is the correct. I'm like, yes, I got the answer, man. I got the answer. So I said, okay, I left at a positive note. Obviously, they are not going to say or show that you are going to be selected or not. Earlier, there used to be a time where if you're selected, the interviewers are going to give you a pink slip there itself. And that is basically a medical slip that you can go for the medical checkup. That basically means that you are going to get selected. But they stopped doing it after, I think, 2014, 2015. So now there's no chance that you're going to find out for sure that you have been selected on that same day. But this gave me huge confidence, because now basically I've not given a single wrong answer over there in the interview. Yes, I gave wrong answers in the beginning, but they gave hints, and I finally came to the correct answer. So that was a big thing. And now I was 100% confident that I had cracked this interview. There's absolutely no doubt over it. And BARC interview is the most bizarre interview that you're going to see. It breaks all the norms. Like, obviously you think that in an interview you are going to be over there in formals with tie, proper hair comb properly. Well, you're going to find interviewers over there in chappal slippers. And they are very casual. They're not even going to ask, introduce yourself. There's going to be no person from HR, no one looking for your personality. You can literally sit over there in jeans and t-shirts, and they are not going to care. I don't suggest, but I have seen people going over there in jeans and t-shirts, especially science people, because science people don't have interviews in their masters also for campus placement, most of the colleges. But here they are for the first time for an interview. They come in slippers and jeans and t-shirt and red t-shirts with polka dots. I've seen all of those, and they literally don't care. They only care about how much you know and how much good concept you have and how much you can think. It's as simple as that. It is the fairest, the best interview that I've ever seen. And honestly, a lot of interview needs to get to that level, in which, like, it is so pure that the interviews are only looking whether you know the concept or not, whether you can think or not. They are not looking for some special extra knowledge. Like, a lot of times even ISRO interviews looks for that how much do you know about ramjet engine, scramjet engine and all that. What do you know about ISRO programs? These people, like, they don't care whether you know your basic subjects or not. That is all they care about. It was a great experience, man. It was a great experience. And I hope that I was able to share you the experience. And it is exactly 7 o'clock. It is time for me to get to a telephonic consultancy call. Maybe I'm going to show you the behind the scenes, but I hope you enjoyed. And that's about it. I'll see all of you in the next one. Hey, I always cannot do it. Sometimes I have to talk about the art of speaking, because these days I'm forgetting about that in the podcast also. So art of speaking courses are going on, and you can join it if you want to improve your spoken English, if you want to improve your personality. All the procedure of how you can register will be down in the description box, so you can check it out. It is basically a course going on where I teach personally live of how to improve your personality, how to improve your speaking skills, how to improve your confidence, and all those good stuff when it comes to soft skills. All right, bye again. See you next time.
My darling, I told you I'm not perfect, man, but I promise I will never hurt you again.
My darling,